Jung's theory of type, that is extrovert or introvert, provides models of the individual's general orientation to the world and the four functions of consciousness, that is thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition, provides modes of adaptation through which a person perceives and evaluates reality. It is a dynamic model in which there is constant movement, development, and change throughout life, with integration and wholeness emerging in direct proportion to the degree to which an individual makes an effort to become conscious of those aspects of the personality that are inherently weak and undeveloped. Of all Jung's models, his psychological typology has proven to be the most popular. It has also become a commonplace in modern astrology texts to apply Jung's theory of the four psychological function types to the astrological elements air, water, earth, and fire, offering interpretations of those elements based on Jung's descriptions. The late antique, medieval, and early modern astrological and alchemical texts in Jung's library provided him with a rich matrix of speculations on the four elements. In the 2nd century AD, the astrologer Claudius Ptolemy adopted Aristotle's association of hot, cold, moist, and dry in relation to the elements, which are all admixtures of those four attributes. Earth is dry and cold, fire dry and hot, water moist and cold, and air moist and hot. And the temperaments associated with the four astrological elements reflect these qualities in characterological and physiological terms. In his descriptions of the function types, thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition, Jung did not explicitly assign them to the four elements of air, water, earth, and fire, although he made clear in psychological types that he believed the correlation existed. From earliest times, attempts have been made to classify individuals according to types, and so to bring order into the chaos. The oldest attempts known to us were made by Oriental astrologers who devised the so-called trigones of the four elements, air, water, earth, and fire. According to this age-old view, whoever is born in these trigones share in their aerial or fiery nature and will have a corresponding temperament and fate. Carl Jung also expressed his understanding that planetary configurations, the planetary gods, in dynamic relationship to each other, symbolize unconscious complexes, which are expressed imaginally through the mythic narratives that portray in symbolic form the structure and teleology of the complex. The animus, according to Jung, personifies the unconscious masculine aspect of the female psyche. It is symbolized in part by the planet Mercury, which threatens the instinctual female qualities of the moon through the tension of the difficult angle between them. Viewed in this way, an unconscious complex is not the product of either traumatic childhood events or suppressed instinctual urges. It is inherent and archetypal, although its expressions are given life by both circumstances and conscious choice. Freud understood complexes to be rooted in instinctual urges. Within the Freudian model, the complex, and specifically the Oedipus complex, is the primary factor in psychic dynamics. Myth is secondary, a poetic and at the same time sublimated expression of those instinctual urges that are repressed due to social taboos. Myths can therefore be intellectually analyzed and reduced to the bare bones of unconscious sexual conflicts. Thus, when Oedipus unknowingly murders his father and marries his mother, the mythic narrative is merely a poetic portrayal of every son's unconscious desire to destroy his father in order to gain sexual possession of his mother. Behind the mythic Oedipus stands the Oedipus complex. For Freud, the complex is always pathological, because it involves a repression of powerful instinctual urges that results in conflict and psychic suffering. Jung, in contrast, eventually came to understand that behind the Oedipus complex stands Oedipus himself, not as an historical reality, but as the imaginal portrayal of a dynamic psychic energy of which the sexual urge represents only one dimension. Oedipus' destruction of his father and union with his mother might in this context reflect not simply a literal and forbidden incestuous desire, but a fundamental human longing to shatter the power of the rational ego, that is the father, in order to merge with and be transformed by the depths of the unconscious, that is the mother. Complexes are the psychic expressions of the libido, which is not limited solely to forbidden Oedipal wishes. Complexes embody fundamental life processes, psychic and spiritual as well as instinctual, and are not merely products of the repression of the sexual instinct. Their compulsive and often destructive power arises not from their innate malignancy, but from what Jung perceived as the failure of the individual to recognize and integrate their deeper teleology. For if he allows his libido to get stuck in a childish environment and does not free it for higher purposes, he falls under the spell of unconscious compulsion. Wherever he may be, the unconscious will then recreate the infantile environment by projecting his complexes, thus reproducing all over again, and in defiance of his vital interest, the same dependence and lack of freedom which formerly characterized his relations with his parents. His destiny no longer lies in his own hands. His fortunes and fates fall from the stars. For Jung, the myth came first. They emerge from projections of fundamental psychic patterns onto the heavens, which provide an excellent hook because they mirror back the same patterns through the qualities of time. These patterns are just as much outside as inside. The sun rises from an unknown darkness each morning and sinks back into the darkness in the evening. Similarly, the human being emerges out of an unknown darkness at birth and returns to that unknown darkness at death, with the hope that, like the sun, some immortal fragment will survive death and be reborn in some form, in some time, somewhere. The planetary gods, according to Jung, are symbols of the archetypal dominance of the collective unconscious, present in every human psyche, but according to the specific moment of birth, appearing in the individual as a unique pattern of interrelationships representing a definite moment in the dialogue of the gods, that is to say, the psychic archetypes. Jung suggests that these patterns are expressed in a recognizable way in the horoscope, but are likewise present in life itself. For Jung, the archetypes that lie at the core of every complex are symbolized by the planetary gods. The journey through the planetary houses therefore signifies the overcoming of a psychic obstacle or of an autonomous complex suitably presented by a planetary god or demon.